Knight takes e5 doesn't work because white has, for instance, queen h8 check. Actually, this is queen h8 check is not really necessary. Maybe he can take on e5, but queen h8 is probably the most accurate. After queen h8, king e7, white can actually grab the rook here, and he survives amazingly. Here's just one variation I looked at. Well, if knight f3, king c3, and black has no continuation of the attack, the king is going to be safe over on the queen side. It keeps running to a4 and getting safe. And if knight d3, then king takes d3, queen d1 check, king c3, knight e2 check, king b3, knight d4 check, king a4. And there's no continuation, and it seems that, well, white's up 2 pieces, and he should be able to win. So after king d2, black should just play castles queenside. And here he has quite a few threats, but white has a tempo to defend, and it looks like not quite sufficient for black. But still, you never know what could happen in such a position. So, going back, white played bishop e3, and now came queen to g1 check. And here, white would maybe like to sacrifice his own rook, but this is not going to quite work out. So he played queen f1. If he played king d2 in the spirit of the variations of the last move, black would take a1, and now white needs to capture black's rook. So he goes queen h8 check, king d7, queen takes a8. It turns out white's queen is the one that's more out of play. One variation possible is knight f3, king e2, knight c takes e5, threatening queen e1 mate. And then after knight d3, black can go knight g1, king d2, and then take on d3. And king takes d3 is, well, black can always, in all these lines, go queen takes b2, and now he's just going to be winning. Actually, in this one, probably it's better to, check on f1 when black's attack is going to be too strong. After c takes d3, queen takes b2. This time white can block with knight c2, but now black has knight f3, king e2, queen takes c2, king takes f3, queen takes d3. And, well, just count up the pawns and you'll see that black is much better, you could say winning, of course. So white blocked with a queen. Now came knight f3 check. White went king e2, and knight f to d4, and this was kind of strange. I mean, he should have just checked on d4 right away, which is what he did before. But he went knight f to d4. White went king to d2. And now black checked again, knight e2. King to d3 was going to be somehow similar to the variation that could have occurred after queen to g4, but perhaps white can find something there. But in any case, black could have avoided that possibility by checking immediately with the other knight. So they repeated positions, and now he went knight c to d4, playing for a win. And here white played king to d3, which, if you see some of Nimzowitsch's games, he really likes to use 2 knights together. And so just knowing that, white should eliminate one of these knights. And it's kind of natural as well. You're under attack, you need to eliminate the attackers. Still, black stands very well after bishop takes d4, knight takes d4, king e3, or king d3, and then queen to g4. And here black has a huge attack. If king takes d4, then queen takes f4 check, king d3, and then black can take on e5, or you could first play c5. And in any case, black has lots of pawns for the piece. Well, he has 2 pawns for the piece, but he's going to get a 3rd one. And they're all unified, and white's pieces are passive, so I think black has an excellent chances of winning. So white played king to d3, and now a very good move, queen g5. So he's bringing his queen to f5. key light square in black's game. White prevented that with queen f3 or queen h3, guarding the f5 square. But now black takes on e5 with the queen, and it turns out that white's just completely stuck in the center here with his king. He actually can't move his pieces at all. Obviously, he can't chase a knight with c3 because of queen e4. If he takes on d4, then black can first play queen e4 check, and after king c3, then queen takes d4, king b3, knight to d2 mate. So he can never take that knight anymore, and otherwise there's not much he can do. His knight needs to stay on f4, so black only needs to control the c3 square. White played rook f1. There's just no other moves really for him to do, and black just castled. So he's finally, after all of this attack, he's finally got his rook into the game. Not that it was even really necessary. In fact, black could play the move he played on this following move right away, and he'd be winning that way. White played b3. Again, there's nothing he can really undertake in this position. So now b5 came. Black's plan is to play b4, and then queen e4 mate. And so white just took on b5. There's not really a whole lot of advice that can be given. For instance, b4, just off the top of my head, there may be many wins, but a5 looks pretty good. And once again, if takes, then b4 with a threat of queen e4 mate. And otherwise, white doesn't have anything he can do because c3 again is met by queen e4. So he took on b5. Now came queen e4 check, king c3, queen takes c2 check. So this is why the knight had to stay always on a3. Obviously black could also take on b5, but this is much better. Queen takes c2, king b4, c5, and white resigned because, well, if he goes king to a3, then knight takes b5 with mate shortly. For instance, king a4, knight to c3 check. And if king a5, queen takes a2. And if king a4, then queen takes a2. And then after knight a3, queen takes b3, followed by queen takes a3 mate. I think this really wild and fascinating game. I hope it's entertaining for you. And black's whole attack was positional in a way, though. Although it was maybe not at some points the most completely sound, it still had this positional basis that he's attacking white's pawn chain. And once he destroyed white's pawn chain, he got complete control over the center, which is what happened. If you go back a few moves and just look at this position where white is basically without moves because black has complete control of the center. White's knight can't move from a3 because of queen e4 check. Knight can't move from f4 because black will otherwise check on e4, and then knight e2 check when the king comes to c3. So it's queen has to guard f5, and basically there's not much white can do. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been International Master Bryan Smith with ChessLecture.com.